Yo, what up, though? Once again, this is your boy, C dot to the B dot. And so, tonight, I am coming at y'all once again with another movie review. So, as y'all know, last week we closed out March, aka March to Glory, with the movie Red Belt. And we jumped into a new month, April. So I feel it's quite fitting to do comedy movies for this month. Being that April Fools is tomorrow, and yes, I will admit it, I can be kind of childish when it comes to that particular day. But I'm getting older now, so I'm like, the jokes, the pranks, all of that may go out the window. But like I said, though, I feel it quite fitting to do all comedies. So I want to start off, start this month off with one movie that I think a lot of people may or may not like. You know, it could be a classic, but then again, it might not be. But anyway, that movie is 22 Jump Street. So after watching this movie, I have to say that, I kind of wished I watched the first one over again before I started this one. But, this movie was good enough for what it was. You know what I'm saying? The comedy was there. You know, you had Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, and Ice Cube. The three. And I'm going to say this right now, too. So, out of those three actors in this movie, me personally, I feel like Ice Cube, was the funniest character in this movie. You know what I'm saying? He played Captain Dixon. His name was spelled Dickson. You know what I mean? Dixon. Because honestly, I feel like that was kind of clever due to the fact that, he was kind of an asshole to these two detectives. You know what I'm saying? Just about the whole time. So one standout, you know, scene in this movie that made me want to watch this one over the original movie was the scene. It was like Parents' Day or something like that when the parents came to the college, and this is when Ice Cube's character Captain Dixon found out that Jonah Hill's character was dating his daughter. Because before this, when they went to go report to Dixon, near the beginning, um, Jonah Hill's character Schmidt, he was bragging, to Dixon about getting some pussy. You know what I mean? And Dixon congratulated him. He was shocked, you know what I'm saying? He was taken back by that because I guess because of who Schmidt was, but later on, when he discovered that, Schmidt was dating his daughter, that's when the whole shit got flipped upside down. Like the whole time, like yo, he was so pissed he was even acting like an asshole in front of this man's parents, yo. That like the whole time, you know what I'm saying, with Dixon and Queen Latifah's character, that whole scene had me dying, man. Cause I don't know, I'd probably be like that too, man. If I had a daughter and I found out you know, one of my peoples was messing around with her. You know what I mean? I, you know. But then when they report back to the office, this is where Channing Tatum's character finds out that, you know what I'm saying, Schmidt, Jonah Hill's character was messing with the captain's daughter. And then, he jumped up in shock and just started telling everybody in the room, I thought that, that had me dying laughing. I can't even front. But basically, the premise to this movie was it's somebody on campus, the college that they went to. You know what I'm saying? They were going undercover as college students, so they was trying to find a person who was distributing this drug to all the college students on campus or whatever. So they had this photo. The only thing they had to go off of was this photo with somebody who had a tattoo with like think it was like a rocket launcher or something like that. A guy shooting a rocket launcher that said boom. That's the only thing they had to go off on. So in the beginning, when they first got there, Channing Tatum's character, he joins the football team. While no, actually both of them try out for the team, but Channing Tatum's character, he actually stays on. So they spend pretty much the whole time trying to figure out, you know, the guy with the tattoo. But come to find out, the guy with the tattoo wasn't the one that was distributing it. It was the girl who was selling it to him, who, you know what I'm saying, who actually died, before all of this took place. So from this point on, they was trying to figure out, where the actual distribution was coming from. And they did find out. And Schmidt, Jonah Hill's character, he was still talking to Dixon's daughter. And so she had this roommate, this white girl or whatever, right? And she was kind of like, if you look at her, you know what I'm saying, she was kind of like not off, but she was like weird, you know what I mean? Because the whole time she was just dogging Schmidt, just basically telling him that he was old and this and that, like the whole time just getting on him for looking older, you know what I mean? But I'm just gonna pretty much skip to the climax of the film. You know what I mean? I want y'all to watch this movie for yourselves, but if you haven't seen it, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna spoil it for you anyway. So warning, right now, spoiler. If you don't want to hear the spoiler, I suggest you skedaddle. I'm warning you. All right, gone? Okay. So we come to find out that Dixon's daughter's roommate was one of the people behind the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like she was one of the actual distributors. So, her and Jonah Hill, I feel like they did a good job in the scene where, they were punching each other or whatever. They had like it was like good chemistry, you know what I'm saying? Even though they wanted nothing to do with each other. But they had banter going back and forth, and there was a scene where he threw her on the bed, and she like, don't touch me unless you're gonna fuck me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, she was weird, man, but she got arrested eventually because she shot Dixon in the foot earlier. You know what I mean? Before she got away, but then she winds up getting caught again and getting arrested. You know what I'm saying? And then the actual dude that was helping her, you know what I'm saying, that tried to escape with with the money and the drugs and all that, tried to escape on the helicopter, and Schmidt and Channing Tatum's character, Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum character, they actually bring the helicopter down by tossing the damn grenade, you know what I'm saying, blowing the shit up. So that's how they pretty much took him out. Now, these two guys in this movie, they put me in the mind of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence and Bad Boys. You know what I mean? They had that kind of chemistry. Like they worked well together, those two. You know what I mean? But it is your average run of the mill movie where you got the two. It's a buddy cop film where you got the two just going back and forth with each other, and then they even had the scene where for a while they split up. You know what I'm saying? They ain't really want nothing to do with each other for a little bit. It's one of those type of movies. Rush Hour had that. Um, it's a lot of movies that had scenes like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially in buddy cop films. But this movie wasn't bad. Like I said, I should have went back and watched the first one again before I popped this one in. But I decided to do this one just for that one scene I described earlier. The little parents' day they had. But yeah, man, 22 Jump Street is decent for what it is. So if I got to give this movie a review, I will definitely give it I'll give it a hard 7.5 out of 10. You know what I mean? Like it had its moments. The laughs were there. The acting was, you know, great. But I feel like I don't know for some reason. I mean, like I said, certain parts had me dying laughing, But certain parts that were supposed to be funny, for some reason, I just wasn't laughing this time. You know, the second go around, because this is like my second time watching this one. But I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, but it's still a good film. So if you haven't seen it, make sure y'all check it out. 22 Jump Street. And that's my review. So once again, I appreciate y'all listening to me run my mouth, you know, tripping over my words and everything else like that. But we will be back here next week with our next movie. So stay tuned for that, and I will talk to y'all later. All right. Peace.